Somewhere outside Youngstown, Ohio, a driver sits in the front seat of a Freightliner at a truck stop off Interstate 80, a paper cup of coffee going cold in the holder and a load board open on his phone. 480 miles. Drop and hook on both ends. Lightweight, no appointment stress, and a rate of $2,100 in a lane that normally pays about $11.50. He reads it twice. Then he puts the phone face down on the seat and goes inside for a shower. All across America right now, drivers with 30 years behind the wheel are doing that exact same thing with a handful of trailer types, turning down freight that pays double the going rate. Now, this is not laziness, and it is not fear of hard work. It is arithmetic, and today we are counting down the 10 trailers losing that arithmetic in 2026. Number 1 is a trailer American drivers have been refusing for 50 years, and the reasons why now have a federal price tag attached to every single one of them. One thing before the countdown. Every load posting has 2 numbers in it. There is the one the broker prints on the board, and there is the one the trailer charges you quietly, in your back, in your clock, in your insurance premium, and sometimes in your license. Old drivers can read the second number the way a farmer reads a sky. Some of these trailers earn the reputation they carry. 1 or 2 of them are better work than their reputation suggests, and we will say so when we get there. So let's get rolling. Number 10. Tarp flatbed and step deck freight. Go stand at a truck stop fuel island in Georgia at 5 in the morning and watch a flatbed driver get ready to move a load of shingles. He is climbing on top of a stack of freight in the dark, in the rain, dragging a rolled-up vinyl tarp behind him. Those tarps weigh anywhere from 80 pounds to over 150 pounds apiece, and a full load takes 2 or 3 of them, plus straps, plus edge protectors, plus bungees. That is an hour of work on the trailer deck before the truck ever moves, sometimes 2 hours in bad weather. Here is what decides it. Falls from a trailer deck are one of the most common serious injuries in the entire trucking industry, and a fall from 10 feet onto a concrete lumberyard does not care that you have driven 3 million safe miles. Drivers describe it as the only job in America where you are paid by the mile and injured by the hour. Now put the age of the workforce on top of that. The average American truck driver is pushing 50, and the men who learned to tarp on a spread axle in the 80s are now in their 60s. A knee that could take a jump off a coil rack in 1994 cannot take it in 2026. So the veterans quietly move to Conestoga rolling tarp systems, or curtain-side trailers, or steel loads that ship uncovered. They will still pull a flatbed. They will not pull a tarp. And the shipper standing at the loading gate, insisting on old-fashioned tarping, is finding out that hands, not horsepower, are the thing in short supply. Tarps punish a driver's body. This next trailer goes after his bank account instead. Number 9. The Reefer trailer hauling fresh produce. A refrigerated trailer looks like a dry van with a radiator bolted to the nose. But what it really is a second engine that you own the problems of. It burns its own fuel, it needs its own maintenance, and when it quits at 2 in the morning on a dark shoulder outside Tucumcari, New Mexico, 40,000 pounds of strawberries start dying behind you. The refusal is not really about the breakdown, it is about the claim. A driver hauls California produce east to a terminal in Philadelphia or Hunts Point in the Bronx. He backs into the door on time, unit running, temperature set exactly where the paperwork says. A receiver walks out with a pulp thermometer, sticks a few pallets, decides the lettuce is not up to standard, and rejects the load. Now that shipment belongs to the driver and his cargo insurance. Tens of thousands of dollars riding on somebody else's thermometer and somebody else's opinion of a market that may simply have dropped since the load was booked. Stack the rest of it on the dock. Lumper fees. 8-hour waits at a produce house where nothing moves until the receiver feels like moving it. Washouts between loads. Every one of those hours burns the 14-hour federal clock, and the clock pays nothing while it runs. Now, in fairness, the reefer men will fight you on this one, and they have a point. There is a generation of drivers who ran California to the East Coast every week through the 80s and made better money than anybody pulling a dry van. And plenty of them will tell you the guys complaining just never learned how to work a receiver. Fair enough. But the old hands still make a rule. Frozen only. Frozen loads have no argument in them, because ice cream is either hard or it is not. Fresh produce is a negotiation, and the driver never wins a negotiation he is not in the room for. Produce puts a driver's money at risk. This next trailer puts his safety record at risk for equipment he does not even own. Number 8. Intermodal container drayage on pool chassis. Container work sounds simple. Pick up a box at the rail yard or the port, run it inland, bring it back. What makes drivers walk away is the chassis, that skeletal steel frame the container rides on, which the driver does not own, does not maintain, and cannot choose. He gets handed one at the gate, bald tires with the cord showing, a brake chamber that leaks, lights held together with electrical tape by whoever had it last, and when a state trooper at a scale house on Interstate 10 writes that up, the violation does not land on the leasing company's file. It lands on the driver's record and the motor carrier's safety score, right next to his name. Understand what changed. A man who pulled containers out of Newark in the 70s owned his own chassis, greased it himself, and knew every weld on it. The pool chassis system took that away and handed him whatever came off the stack. Then it added the line at the terminal gate, sometimes 2 hours before the box is even in the air. Chassis splits, where the container sits in one yard and the chassis sits in another. Per diem charges for equipment held over a weekend the driver had no control over. And the weight, because that steel box arrived sealed from Shanghai, and what the paperwork claims is inside is not always what the scale says. Veteran owner-operators look at drayage and see a job where somebody else's rusted equipment can end their career. Plenty of them ran the ports for a decade, then sold the day cab, bought a sleeper, and never went back through a terminal gate again. Container freight costs a driver his record. This next trailer costs him his summer and most of his back. Number 7. The household goods moving van. There is a reason the big moving van sitting at the end of a suburban driveway in Connecticut carries a crew and not just a driver. Household goods is the only corner of trucking where the man who drove 900 miles is then expected to carry a piano up a flight of stairs at the other end. The van operator is a packer, a mover, a customer service department, and a claims adjuster in a polo shirt. He is taking apart a bed frame in a bedroom in Chicago. He is wrapping a china cabinet that has been in one family since 1948. And when a single leg of that cabinet comes off the truck with a chip in it, he is standing in a stranger's living room in Denver having a conversation about money with a woman already having the worst week of her year. Then there is the calendar. The moving business compresses into summer, which means 14 weeks of non-stop work and then months of scraping, gone 5 and 6 weeks at a stretch. The money in a good season is real, and the operators who built crews and stayed 20 years will tell you it beats General Freight. But a 60-year-old driver with 2 rebuilt knees looks at a third-floor walk-up in Boston and does the arithmetic in about 4 seconds. That freight goes to a younger man now, and there are fewer of those every year. Moving vans wear a man out. This next trailer can cost him more money in one afternoon than a whole month of hauling paid him. Number 6. Auto transport car haulers. A loaded car hauler rolling down Interstate 75 with 9 or 10 vehicles stacked on its decks is one of the best-looking rigs on the American highway. It is also 9 or 10 separate opportunities to lose money. Every unit gets inspected at pickup and inspected again at delivery, and delivery is usually a dealership lot at dusk, with a customer walking around the car holding a phone flashlight, finding a rock chip on the hood. A single door ding on a new pickup can turn into a claim bigger than the whole load paid. Multiply that by 10 units per run. The loading itself is a skilled trade that takes years to learn. Hydraulic decks swinging overhead, ramps at angles that make no sense to anyone who has not done it, drivers climbing out through car windows because the doors will not open once a vehicle is in position. Guys get crushed fingers and worse doing it. And the insurance on a car hauling operation is among the most expensive in trucking because the cargo is high value and completely exposed to weather, rocks, hail, and low-clearance parking garages. Here is the part that would have made no sense to a hauler in 1985. Electric vehicles weigh substantially more than the gasoline cars they replace, and carriers have been reporting that a hauler who used to legally carry 9 units is now loading 7 or 8 to stay under axle weight. Same trip, same fuel, same insurance bill, fewer cars on the deck. If you are enjoying this ride through the second number on the load board, hit subscribe. This channel digs into trucking, highways, and blue-collar life every single week. Now, number 5, the trailer where the freight itself is alive. Number 5, livestock trailers and cattle pots. A cattle pot rolling out of a feedlot in Nebraska is carrying something no other trailer on this list carries. Cargo that can die while you sit in traffic. That single fact rewrites every rule a driver lives by. On a 100-degree afternoon in Texas, a loaded livestock trailer cannot simply park and idle because the airflow those animals need comes from the truck moving. A 4-hour backup on Interstate 40 is an inconvenience for a dry van and an emergency for a bull hauler. So livestock drivers push. Everybody in the industry knows they push. And that is exactly why livestock hauling has spent years tangled up in fights over federal hours of service rules and exemptions. The physical work is its own hazard. Loading the top deck of a pot means climbing inside with animals that weigh 1,200 pounds each and want no part of the plan. Broken ribs and crushed hands are ordinary news in that world. And a rollover with live weight shifting inside the trailer is a wreck a driver almost cannot correct once it starts. Then there is the part nobody saw coming. A man hauling cattle out of Amarillo in 1978 answered to the feedlot, the scale, and the brand inspector. Today, anybody with a phone can film his trailer at a fuel island, put it online with whatever caption they like, and the driver has no way to answer it. Washouts, health certificates, and brand papers round out the paperwork. Cattlemen love the work and would not do anything else, and you will not hear a word against them here. But a general freight driver looking for a change of pace takes one look, sees cargo with a heartbeat and a clock, and passes it right by. If you pulled one of these for a living, tell me which one in the comments and how many years you gave it. I read them. Live cargo can die on you. This next trailer can turn over on an exit ramp a dry van would take at 45 without thinking about it. Number 4, dry bulk and food-grade tankers. There is an old line in tanker training that a liquid load is a passenger who never sits still. Inside a smooth bore tank, thousands of gallons of milk or juice or corn syrup surge forward every time the brakes come on, and that surge can shove a rig out into an intersection after the driver has already stopped pushing. Combine that with a center of gravity riding high above the frame, and you get the crash tanker instructors talk about more than any other. The rollover on the exit ramp, taken at a speed posted as safe that simply was not safe for that particular load. Then there is the work that happens with the truck parked. Pneumatic bulk drivers hauling flour or cement or plastic pellets hook up hoses, run a blower for 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours, and climb up on top of a round steel tank in January to open a hatch, in the ice and the wind, with nothing under them but concrete. Food-grade tanks also need documented washouts between products, and a wash can run well over $100 and eat half a day in line at a wash rack in Chicago. Tanker rates are good, and the men who do it are among the best-paid drivers in the country. Yeah, you read that right. This is well-paying work, and they are still short of people. Because the older a driver gets, the less he likes ladders, and the less he likes a load that argues with him every time he touches the brake pedal. Tankers make a driver fight physics. This next trailer makes him fight all 50 states at once. Number 3. Oversize and superload heavy haul on lowboy trailers. Hauling a 120,000-pound excavator or a wind turbine blade on a removable gooseneck lowboy is the top of the trade, and the drivers who do it well get treated like surgeons. It is also the freight where the driving is the easy part. Every state writes its own permit, its own routing, and its own rules about what hours you are allowed to move. Cross 4 state lines and you are running 4 different rule books, with curfews that shut you down through rush hour in one state and holiday travel bans that park you from Friday afternoon until Tuesday morning. A permit can take days to issue, and while it sits on somebody's desk, nobody is paying for the truck in the yard. Then come the escorts. Big loads require certified pilot cars, sometimes 2 or 3, sometimes a police escort, and a utility crew standing by to lift a power line. Those crews are in short supply, they cost real money, and the whole convoy sits when one of them cancels. And this is the difference between then and now. A heavy haul man in 1970 had a paper permit, a route he knew, and a phone booth. Today, one wrong turn, one route deviation around construction, one overpass an inch lower than the survey claimed, and a driver who has been perfect for 25 years is on the evening news in Cincinnati with a crane lifting a bridge girder behind him. Heavy haul specialists earn every dollar. Everybody else looks at the permits, the escorts, and the bridges and stays with a 53-foot dry van. Heavy haul is complicated. This next load is carrying something that can burn on its own. In a way, water does not stop. Number 2. Dry van hauling lithium-ion batteries. Remember that $2,100 load our driver in Ohio scrolled right past at the start of this video. 480 miles, lightweight, drop and hook, paying nearly double the lane. It was battery modules. Lithium-ion batteries ship as Class 9 hazardous material, and what makes them different from almost anything else on a trailer is a failure mode called thermal runaway. A damaged or defective cell heats up, sets off the cell beside it, and the reaction feeds itself. Fire crews will tell you these fires burn extremely hot, take enormous volumes of water to cool, and can reignite hours or even days after everyone thought it was over. There are documented cases of electric vehicles catching fire again in a salvage yard long after the wreck. Now, plenty of the men watching this hauled gasoline. They pulled a tanker full of 9,000 gallons of it through downtown traffic in the 80s and slept fine, and they will tell you the difference in about one sentence. A fuel fire is a fire you understand. You know what feeds it, you know what smothers it, and you know that when it is out, it is out. A battery trailer that reignites on its own in a scrapyard 3 days later is not a fire. It is a chemistry problem sitting behind your headboard. That is why drivers do this math immediately, because a driver sleeps 10 feet from his freight. A dry van fire gives you smoke and time. Nobody wants to find out what the other kind gives you at 2 in the morning in a dark parking lot. The infrastructure is reacting faster than the rulebook is. Some truck stops and terminals have started restricting where these trailers are allowed to sit. Insurance underwriters have been adding surcharges and exclusions around battery freight, and carriers are writing special handling procedures for loads that were just electronics 5 years ago. That is exactly why the rate is high. Brokers are paying a premium because the pool of drivers willing to take it is small and getting smaller, and every driver who scrolls past pushes that number up again. And battery freight is Class 9, which is the mildest placard a trailer can wear. Which brings us to number 1, and to a sentence you can say at any fuel island in America and get a nod of pure respect. Number 1, the trailer wearing placards. I don't pull placards. 4 words, and every driver in the room knows exactly what they mean. Hazmat has been the freight American drivers refuse most for 50 years, and in 2026, nearly every reason has a receipt attached. It starts before the first load, because a hazmat endorsement is not just another line on a license. It requires a federal security threat assessment, fingerprinting, and a background check, and the federal fee alone runs somewhere in the neighborhood of $86 before your state adds its own charge for the endorsement itself. Then it expires. Every 5 years, the whole process runs again, prints and all, for a man who has been hauling the same product out of the same terminal since the Reagan administration. Then the map changes shape. Placarded loads are banned from a long list of tunnels and routes, including major crossings in New York and Boston, and the harbor tunnels in Baltimore. A run that would take a dry van straight through the middle of a city sends a hazmat driver around the outside on a beltway, adding an hour or more every trip forever. Parking is restricted too, and certain classes require the load to be attended, which can mean sitting at the fence line with the truck instead of walking inside for a hot meal. Enforcement finds you. A placard is a magnet at every scale house and inspection station between Texas and Ohio, so hazmat drivers get pulled onto the inspection pad more often and looked at harder than anybody else on the road. 2 drivers pass the same scale on the same afternoon. The one with a blank trailer gets a green light. The one with a diamond on the side gets a level 1. And the liability sits underneath all of it. Federal financial responsibility minimums for general freight sit at $750,000. For certain hazardous cargo, including explosives and bulk hazardous materials, that minimum jumps to $5 million. Read that again. $5 million. Same road, same truck, same driver, and the number the federal government requires behind him goes up by a factor of more than 6 because of what is painted on the side of the trailer. That number exists because of what one bad afternoon can cost a town, a waterway, and a family. The drivers who still pull placards are among the most careful professionals in America, and they are paid accordingly, usually a few cents a mile over dry van, sometimes considerably more on the specialized stuff. Everybody else looks at the endorsement, the fingerprints, the routing, the inspections, and the $5 million shadow, and keeps hauling paper towels. So what does the whole list add up to? There are roughly 3.5 million truck drivers in this country, and not one of them got a memo about any of this. There was no vote. There was no union hall meeting, no petition, and no organizer. What happened instead was 3.5 million separate decisions, made alone, at fuel counters at 2 in the morning, by men weighing a rate against a back that already hurts, a clock that never stops, an insurance bill that only goes one direction, and a license that took a lifetime to keep clean. Every one of them decided the same thing independently, and that is what a refusal looks like when nobody organizes it. Call it judgment. It is the only thing in this trade that cannot be bought, financed, or trained into a man in 6 weeks. And it is the same judgment we talked about in our video on the 10 cities truckers are refusing to drive into. The market has noticed too. Every load that sits on the board another 12 hours nudges the rate up a little, and it keeps nudging until either the pay finally matches the pain, or a shipper somewhere decides it is cheaper to make the work easier than to keep bidding for men who will not come. Those are the only 2 ways this ends. The drivers are not protesting, they are just doing the arithmetic, and the answer gets published on the load board every morning for anybody who cares to look. If you rode shotgun for this one, subscribe for more from the world of trucking and the American highway. And if you want to see which cities these same drivers cross off the map entirely, watch our video on the 10 cities truckers are refusing to drive into in 2026. Next, keep the shiny side up, chain it down, and we will see you down the road.